Welcome, everyone, to Dr. Dan Greenberg's Dental Studio. I'm here with Dr. Paul Guey, aka Swole DDS. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So, the goal of this podcast is to pick your brain about everything non-dental related from a dentist. So, the non-traditional path one could take within the dental field. Obviously, we all practice our day-to-day dentistry, but we're here to learn what the options are outside of that. And I want to know specifically how you found that niche, what got you into bodybuilding, weightlifting, being an athlete trainer, and then obviously your background within the Army.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
without further ado, can you just tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about your upbringing, where you went to dental school, what got you into dentistry, all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in kind of Podunk, Bellefontaine, Ohio. It's just about an hour west of Columbus, which is the capital. And lived on a farm. Basically, it was just my mom and stepdad and stepbrother. We didn't really have a whole lot. You could easily say we lived well below the poverty line. So there were often nights, we wouldn't have any hot water or anything like that. So even though I knew at like 6 years old I wanted to be a dentist, I knew that I had to go to college to become a dentist. And that was going to be very difficult because I don't come from money. Nobody in my family is a dentist. Nobody, I don't even know how I wanted to become a dentist. I just wanted to, and I kind of ran with it. But like 6 years old, I always wanted to be a dentist and a professional baseball player. What kid doesn't, right? So I ended up actually just playing ball in high school, being pretty solid. I was our number two guy, pitcher. And even though I was solid, I had coaches and players and other teams just like say, nah, you're not good enough to go D1. But I wanted to go to Ohio State. So, of course, I'm going to bust my hind end and just try my best, because I don't know where everybody else is coming from, but when somebody tells me I'm not going to be able to do something or I can't do something, that just makes me want to do it even more. So it's something I wanted, and I knew that's what I wanted, so I had to work for it. I wasn't drafted I wasn't drafted or recruited out of high school, so I had to walk on. I walked on to Ohio State 3 times. Twice failing, and the third time it was just like, hey, have an extended tryout with us, and if you do well, then you're on the team, and if not, you're gone. I'm like, all right. So this tryout, I thought it was going to be 1 week, turned into 2 weeks, turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, and I'm just like, well, I'm still here. So I ended up making the team. I saw my name go up on that locker, which was really awesome. And it just kind of, the rest was history there. I ended up playing for 3 seasons, and I did really well my summer season before my senior year, and ended up contributing a lot more my final year, which was my redshirt senior year. And I wanted to go to dental school, so I checked the box for baseball, but I'm like, dental school is probably more realistic, and so I applied to dental school. So I think I applied to 14 schools, and I didn't get into a single one. And I said, well, all the cycle's over. So I said, you know what? I still got baseball, so screw it. Let's give it the old college try. And I ended up traveling to like 20 different cities, trying out for different teams. I know I was in freaking Newark, New Jersey, freaking St. Louis, California, Canada. So I ended up signing a contract to play in California. So I played for 4 different teams, over 3 seasons. I played in Puerto Rico, Canada, Western Major Baseball League, the Pacific Association, Independent Professional League, West Coast, and then the Puerto Rican International Baseball League.
You were everywhere.
Yeah, so I was everywhere. I got drafted to play in the Australian Baseball League, but I got an offer to play in West Coast, United States. So I ended up choosing that, which I really wish I would have chose the Australian Baseball League, because there would have been a lot more opportunity. I didn't realize how big of an opportunity it was until I was already done with baseball. So, but I still got to play. I still got to have a lot of fun. There's some videos on YouTube where I'm just pitching my ass off.
That's amazing.
And then I was actually, 2014, I was training for spring training, and I got to throw for an Angel Scout. On my way to throw for the Angel Scout, it was negative 27, I think it was, with the wind chill. I hit a patch of black ice and crashed into a concrete wall.
Oh my God.
I wasn't hurt, air quotes. I didn't feel like I was hurt. So I just grabbed my gear and just left my totaled car on the road, on the highway. And I just walked the last mile or so to the field. So I was freezing, and
that's some David Goggins shit.
Yeah, I tried to. I mean, I wasn't sprinting. I was walking. I was already early because I was nervous, but I ended up being on time. It was freezing, so I couldn't get warmed up well enough. My fingers were cold, and then my adrenaline was pumping, so I couldn't throw a strike to save my life. And I said, can I get another shot? And he's like, you're 23, 24. You didn't show me anything today I can work with. So I'm sorry, kid, you're too old. We're going to have to pass. And
oh my God.
I said, I guess that's my sign. I got to hang it up.
Yeah.
So I kind of back up a little bit. While I was playing professional baseball, the thing that they don't tell you is minor league baseball players, we play in poverty. I was making $500 after taxes a month playing professional baseball. So, and the only thing that was really provided was some food and lodging. So car insurance, fuel, cell phone, all of that stuff was still on us because really $500 is nothing. And the 2 meals a day that they provide is hardly any sustenance if you want to perform.
Yeah, I was going to say, for a professional athlete, that's nothing.
Yeah. So, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. So I ended up going $10,000-$15,000 in credit card debt while I was playing professionally. And I just said, I can't keep this up anymore. I don't have baseball anymore. So I got to get to work. So I ended up working in a foundry. Mind you, I was homeless at this time. And while I was working in a foundry, the foundry life was just too tough with the driving and the hard labor and not having a home. So I ended up moving back in with my aunt and grandma for probably about 4.5 months. And I said, I have to do something. I have to get back into school. So I guess I failed to mention when I got a contract to play professionally, I had started my master's in public health because I knew I had to get into dental school, so I needed to boost my grades because my science GPA was only a 2.8.
Oh my God.
And my overall GPA was a 3.3, but that still wasn't good enough. So I started a master's in public health and left the master's to go play professionally because I got the opportunity. I'm like, well, hey, why not? So I ended up working in the foundry, and then I got back into my master's and finished that and reapplied to dental school, and then got into two. I got into USC and Ohio State, and I chose Ohio State because obviously I'm inbred when it comes to education. Undergrad, master's, and dental school all at Ohio State.
They should give you a discount after that.
Right? Yeah, they got no discounts for me. They asked me the day after I graduated, can you go donate some money?
Pay up.
I'm really? So
at what age was this when you did your master's, and then ultimately I know that you were doing it during the time that you were playing baseball, but at what age did you actually go to dental school?
So I think I started dental school at 2021. 2021 was when I graduated. Oh, that's why I'm getting confused because it's almost 2023.
Yeah.
So yeah, I graduated in 2021. And so prior to starting dental school, I had also gotten the HPSP scholarship. So that's through the Army, and that's where they basically pay for dental school, but you have to serve for the Army for 4 years minimum after you get out. well, during my master's, let's back up a little bit more. Sorry, I'm all over the place. The ADD has just got me. Back when I was going through my master's, I didn't have baseball anymore. So I said, you know what? I need to do something. So I got back in the gym. I actually hated lifting when I was playing up for Ohio State and professionally. I really hated it. I wasn't good at it. So I said I got to do something. So I started lifting, and I started getting really good at it. I started like watching YouTube and watching Instagram of some of these influencers just doing stupid weights, doing stupid like acrobatic stuff. And I'm like, I can try that, or I can do that. You know? And I just kind of got into it, and I kind of started liking it. I was testing and, you know, challenging my boundaries, and that just kind of translated to once I got into dental school, I'm like, I'm working out still every day. I'm you know, crushing it in the gym. I'm crushing it in the classroom. I graduated with a higher GPA in dental school than I did in my undergrad, which was incredible. And I almost got higher than my master's. I was sad. COVID kind of messed me up. I don't learn by, you know, online stuff, so I didn't do as well as I should have. But I was so close to getting that cum laude. Yeah. So
very nice.
And anyway, I got back into it, and it was just so much fun. And I started really pushing the weights, and you know, I was like, I'll be happy when I get 500 pounds on deadlift. And then I hit 500. I'm like, I wonder how high I can go now. Like, I'll be happy when I get 600 pounds. And then I hit 600. I'm like, I'll be happy when I hit 700 pounds. And then I hit 700 pounds, and then I hit 750 really quickly. I'm like, I wonder if I can hit 800. So I'm chasing that right now. And I kind of wanted to, like, that same token in dental school. I'm like, maybe I should be an oral surgeon. And I'm like, I don't want to go to school for 4 to 6 years after dental school. It's just, no thanks. Oral surgeons, they're next level. I got all the love.
I thought you were deadlifting to extract those teeth.
Yeah, I'm deadlifting to get better at extractions. That's for sure.
Yeah,
so I'm plugging in
exactly. Yeah, they always say, you know, I grew up. I played soccer, was a high school athlete. I played a little in college, but nothing crazy, nothing like, you know, minor league baseball. But they always said, you know, after you give up like something you've been doing for so long in terms of like being an athlete, you always pick up something else. And for a lot of people, that's marathons. Like you see like all these old athletes become these runners, do marathons, half marathons, these Ironmans, and for you it's deadlifting or weightlifting, you know, and getting to that next level, because it becomes like, you know, competition against other people, and now it's a competition in yourself, and you're like, all right, I gotta beat who I was yesterday and keep on, you know, bettering myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it was I when I lost baseball, I thought I lost a part of myself, because that was like my identity for the longest time. Like it was who I was. It was what I did. It was every weekend, every other weekend, the season, everything revolved around baseball. What I ate, when I slept, when I practiced, all of that. So to just have everything just carpet out from underneath you, I needed to replace that. It was kind of like my drug.
Right.
So I needed to have that, because I thought I lost myself. I kind of struggled with that when I was homeless and I was working in the foundry. I was just in a bad mental space, and I just like, I need to get back into that rhythm, and I need to do something. Otherwise, it's just going to spiral, and I'm not trying to go down that dark and scary road. At like what, 26, 25? I still have a lot of years left ahead of me. So yeah, it just kind of turned into a hobby. And when you know, when the odds were already stacked against you at the womb and in your childhood, and car accident after car accident, and all the, and I got run over when I was 4 years old by 4 horses, you know, so when you could have died quite a few times, you kind of have those to kind of pull from, to kind of put things into perspective. Like when things really suck, like when those exams suck, studying for, you know, all the time. I'm in residency right now, so the exams, the studying, the board reviews, the case presentations, all of that sucks. But I mean, it sure beats the alternative. So it kind of helps me put it in perspective.
Yeah, you stole the second question right out of my lap. So you brought up like the baseball being your identity, and my second question was, how did you make weightlifting, bodybuilding, strength, being a strength athlete, like a part of your identity? And I think you covered that for sure. Where are you in residency? Is it through the Army?
Yeah, so it's a 2-year AEGD. So
Nice.
what's different about the Army in 2-year AEGD is that we have a board certification, which you can challenge the board certification in the civilian world, but most people don't because you don't need it. It's kind of worthless. It doesn't add really anything to your practice unless you want to go into teaching or I guess for advertising sake, you can put the ABGD after your name. But the cool thing about in the Army is technically when I get out of residency, I will be a specialist, so a comprehensive care dentist rather than just a general dentist that drills,
Nice.
fills, and does a few crowns here and there. So I'll be pretty much a full scope provider in the Army, so I'll be able to do implants, crowns, perio surgery, third molar extractions, pretty much what a civilian doc does, to a certain extent. Obviously, if we do more CEs, it's more latitude
Right.
when you get the AEGD. When you are just a general dentist in the Army, you get kind of like the initial privileges, the initial credentials, which is basically fillings, crowns, some anterior endo, and then some simple extractions. So I personally like extractions, surgical and simple, so I wanted to do more of those, so figured why not.
That's great. And so I get a lot of questions about just the program that you went into. It's the PS program?
HPSP?
HPSP. Yeah, I got the letters mixed up. Yeah, so I get a lot of questions about that. And can you just explain your thought process in wanting to pursue that versus like the alternative route, which is, taking out a crazy amount of loans, eventually like maybe doing a residency in Ohio State. In Ohio, you don't have to do a residency. You can just go into private practice. So something like that where maybe students are thinking, I want to weigh the options of like going to dental school, having it covered and getting a stipend at the end of the month versus paying for it by myself or taking out loans and going straight into private practice and not working 4 years after.
Yeah, see, I kind of went back and forth about that a lot, but looking back, I'm so glad I chose the HPSP because think about it. Dental school is already stressful, right? So I already had, loans from undergrad and my master's that I still have to pay off. I'm still paying off right now. And I just realized that, if I go to dental school, I'm going to incur, including living expenses. So I'm going to incur another $350,000 in student loans just for that to live off of, and add that to my, current undergrad and master's. I'm looking at $500,000 in student loans, and the interest I'm never going to get out of it. Yes, you can argue that if you're in a lucrative practice, blah 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 blah, but money has never been a motivator for me. I didn't want to become a dentist because they make good money. I wanted to become a dentist because they are healthcare providers that have a good work-life balance and that provide a really unique and incredible service to patients. And because I know you're a doc, you know that what we have in dentistry is what we can do is just so incredible. Like we can take, basically nothing and build it up and give somebody back their smile, their confidence. Some people, their mental health is rooted in their smile. So the fact that we can have that big of an effect without, dealing with the other issues, just that one little area that everybody sees every day, their mouth, we can just change somebody's life. And that has been really, really the motivator for me. So the fact that, the Army doesn't pay near as well as civilian practice can, but there's a lot more perks. I can take 30, 60 days off a year without having to worry about getting patients in chairs. When a patient needs something, let's just say 30 is bombed out and needs a root canal, core buildup, crown, I never have to have that conversation with my patient. Hey, this is going to cost such and such. Hey, this is going to cost this and that. Hey, if you do this, it's going to cost you this. I don't have to have the cost conversation with them, which is amazing because if they need it, they get it. And then if I want to do it and if I can provide it, I can give it to the patient. And that's the beauty of it because there's no money transaction there.
And you can provide the best service possible to the patient and give them the best treatment.
Absolutely, because I don't have to compromise my treatment because they can't afford a crown. Doing an amalgam full coverage amalgam versus doing a perfectly contoured, indirect zirconia restoration that you wouldn't even know is a crown. It's just I don't know. It's kind of a no-brainer to me because I get to actually provide care for the patient, and then I don't have to worry about the politics or the bureaucracy of insurance companies and all that fun stuff. So it was just kind of it makes sense. And plus, the Army, think about what the Army does. Army does, cool guy stuff, right? So cool guy stuff happens with a lot of accidents or, so you can get a lot of experience in a short period of time in the Army, especially with soldiers. There's a lot of soldiers that, they join the Army for lack of other options. And some soldiers come in with no education on oral health or very limited access to even just simple cleanings or, sealants. And those teeth that got those deep pits just kind of turn into huge cavities. So to be able to provide a service for people that join the Army because they were in a situation where I was basically in a similar situation, and a couple things different here and there, and I'm in their situation. So it's I don't know, it's just kind of a way to give back to my people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels close to home, right?
Yeah, it's and plus there's people, everybody in the Army. I know that you get the political correct, answer. Why'd you join the Army? I want to, protect and serve and blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case for a lot of soldiers. A lot of soldiers just really need the health insurance, the dental, and guidance and direction. There's a lot of soldiers that just want to do hoorah stuff, ooh-ah,
right.
hoo-ah. But there's a lot of people that join just for the other stuff. There's a lot of people that have jobs in the civilian world that just take it for the benefits and the price or the salary rather than what they're actually doing. So I got all the love in the world for everybody that does whatever they want to do, whether it be for the money or the benefits. But if I can help those that need the most help, then I'm here for it,
Exactly. And where are you based out of? Because I know that you can, I guess, request certain places. So can you explain how that works?
Yeah, so currently I'm in Texas. There's only 3 residencies that are 2-year AGDs in the Army. I think there's 20 that are 1-year AGDs, but 1 years don't carry with it a specialty demarcation. So, excuse me. But there's only 3, and there's Hawaii, Fort Bragg, which is in North Carolina, and then Fort Hood, which is in Texas.
Gotcha.
Fort Hood, I felt, was probably the best place to go because there's no other specialty training residencies. So at Bragg, they have endo as well. And then at Hawaii, they have oral surgery and endo. So I knew if I came to Fort Hood, we would basically be getting all of the cases, so there wouldn't be a shortage in cases to kind of take on and challenge ourselves with, those all sorts of stuff. We'd be able to see everything.
It's crazy just talking to you because it seems like there's this whole other, almost like a DIA pass, where you apply to these programs. I never even heard of half of these programs or even all of them that you're talking about. Whereas the programs that I applied to, which is I guess the more traditional route of going into residency, if you want to, we all hear about those programs. So it's this whole other part that is just, foreign to me.
Yeah, and you know what's really cool though too is because if you're in the Army, so this is everybody that asks me on social media, should I join the Army or should I do the HPSP? I think it's a no-brainer because when you join the Army as a dentist, even if you're fresh out of dental school and you just want to join up and get the benefits of being a dentist, and like all the benefits, the pay isn't as good in the civilian world, but the headache and the stress isn't near as high because when you get to a post or a clinic, there's going to be other docs. You're going to get that automatic mentorship because you kind of already have that camaraderie from you're on the same team, essentially.
Exactly.
Obviously, every clinic has its own kind of feng shui, if you will. But the first clinic I went to, there were 13 providers. 13 providers. Okay, our patient population was just about 10,000 soldiers. And of those 13 providers, there was 3 specialists, or 4 specialists, excuse me, an endodontist, a periodontist, a prosthodontist, and a bravo. So he counts as a specialist, so a expanded field. Mm-hmm. So not only do you have that mentorship, you have the ability to do more complex procedures under their supervision without doing a CE, beforehand. And those CEs are usually like what's a weekend class, and then you're like, okay, go to your private practice and have all of that liability on. If you do it wrong, then you're kind of screwed. Right. Sorry. But at least they're there to bail you out. I can remember, and I'm not afraid to admit it, the first 2 weeks I was at my clinic, I told him I liked extractions, and I bit off more than I can chew, I guess. And they had 2 fully impacted third molars, and prior to the Army, I had only used a handpiece one time. And when you're cutting on a tooth the first time, you're just barely cutting. You're just like,
oh yeah. You think you're doing so much, and you're not. Yeah, you're scratching it.
Exactly. You don't know how deep you're going to go. And then I'm just like, man, I am not doing something right here. So I just walk out in the hallway. Hey, Dr. Frazier, can you come help? And he's like, yeah, sure, I got you. He's a retired retired Air Force colonel. He comes in there. He's like, oh, okay, well, see, you got to do this, you got to do that. And like, okay, so he's just watching me. He's in between patients. He's like, oh, yeah, you got this. And then next thing you know, like I'm sectioning the tooth, and it just obviously all the studying you've done kind of comes through. But it's like, yeah, you just really got to open it up more. You got to see what you're doing. And I make that joke kind of voice because he's like a 226'1" massive dude. He's just the nicest teddy bear you'll ever meet. I love that man so much. I learned so much from him. So just to be a doc fresh out of dental school, having that mentorship, having 13 or 12 other docs, you'd be like, hey, I need a little help. Can somebody help me in here? Boom. Like, you got it. You don't have to worry about that. My confidence went way up. I got way faster. I was actually one of the top producing docs on the installation, and there's 6 clinics with equivalent, like probably about 50, 60 other docs in my first year out of dental school. So, you get that mentorship, your speed goes up, you're able to do more. And then you can even even though you're not in a residency, hey, how's this look? What do you think of this? And the other doc comes over. You're already telling the patient, hey, we got other docs here. They may come in, pop in. And the soldiers, they're just like, hey, I don't care. They got to be there anyway. Yeah, it's their duty it's their duty spot for the day, basically. And that's the really cool part too, is in, I'm sure the civilian practice, you have patients not show up, right?
Oh,
or you have to have like a, hey, you owe $100 if you don't show up, or call, no show kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Soldiers, 90% of the time they show up because that is their duty day or duty location for the day or for that place. Like, they get out of work. They don't need a note. They get out of work, they go do their thing, and then they report back to duty like nothing happened. So like, if they need something done, then they go get, they come see us. So that's another little perk. But I don't know. It's a no-brainer because when you get into the Army, you can specialize. And I encourage anybody, everybody and anybody and everybody, that if you go into the Army as a general dentist, utilize that time to specialize. I don't know of any residency in the entire United States that pays you your same salary that you're making as a doc to be a resident. So that means I'm getting paid the same now, actually more than what I made last year, from going from 5 clinic days a week, full, 7:20 to 4:20, and now I'm going to 3 clinic days a week and then 2 lecture days. I'm getting paid the same amount as a resident.
I wish I knew this before.
What's that?
If I talked to you like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I think I would have went this route, because you're making it very enticing.
I mean, it's so I don't know. I'm not really. I guess I could say I'm not passionate about it, but I kind of am.
Yeah, I could tell.
It's more about, and I'm not even a recruiter. I have no desire to be in recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes sense. Yes, there is stuff that you don't have to deal with as a civilian dentist. So, in the Army, we have to wear our green suits every day to the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
You get to clinic, you change into scrubs, you do the dentistry, you change back into the green suits or the OCPs, and then you go home. You may have random UA, so urinary analysis in a morning randomly at 3 a.m. that you need to be able to pick up and go to. That's not very often, but it happens. You may get deployed. There is a chance that you may get deployed. It's not super common. I would say probably about 10% of all providers want to go, and of those 10% that want to go, only 5% are selected for deployment, and then the other 5% that don't want to go, outside of that 10%, get selected and they have to go anyway. So wanting to go and not wanting to go isn't going to change whether or not you're going to get deployed. You may get deployed, but as a dentist, you become the triage officer anyway. You're not going to have a rifle in your hand. You're not going to be downrange where you're going to have to keep an eye out for other, enemy soldiers. You're basically, as a dentist, going to be a triage officer. You're the closest thing to a medical physician that they have out there to be able to discern whether this, full below the knee amputation explosion blast is going to get precedence over a collapsed lung when you're in the field hospital. Now, most people, especially in time of peace, you're not going to have that, worry about actually having to become that triage officer. And I know what I said sounds kind of dark, but we have a medical expertise in that regard, and will be, especially if you want to and you seek to do it, to be advanced life support certified. So ACLS, or we do ALS, ACS, Advanced Care Life Support, whatever. I just completed the course last week, and I can't remember the name. That's how residencies kind of fried my brain. But you have the chance to deploy, and a lot of people think it's a blast. It's kind of like a vacation because you don't spend any money. You're still getting paid the same. You're getting hazard pay and or other extra pay. So it's just like you get to, chill out and do dentistry in a, arid environment or something like that. Depends on where you are. So people that like adventure, you can, how many places do you know that you can go as a company and practice dentistry in Korea, Italy, Germany, and not have to worry about extra licensure or fees? In the Army, you can go to Germany and practice for 3 years in the Army. You can go to Vicenza, Italy. You can go to Korea. You can go to Japan. You can go all over the place and practice and see the world. It's great for single soldiers. With married, it's a little more difficult because you got to get her on board, or you have to be like unaccompanied or separated for that one or 3 years. So, I mean, it's a lot of opportunity and a lot of opportunity for growth and education. So
yeah, it seems that way. And it seems like you have, like you said before, everyone almost is like a family, because I guess a lot of the attendings that you do have either gone through this program or have so much experience within the organization that you're in, whether it's, the Air Force or the Army, military, what you have it. And they almost feel for you, and they're like, all right, I want to give you the same experience that I got. and you get that, continuous just love for dentistry, love for wanting to make the next generation of dentists that much better.
Yeah.
So we're gonna switch gears a little. I want to talk about your Instagram, Swole DDS, the niche that you got into. Obviously, you're bigger than me. I get that, but what made you want to? Yeah, obviously we talked about how your passion for weightlifting and deadlifting translated into this Instagram account. So can you explain what sparked you to start posting online, and how you gained that traction into combining that with dentistry and doing these funny dance moves and whatnot?
Well, I mean, it kind of started out with, so you know how I told you when I first started getting back into the gym, I would look on YouTube and Instagram for like inspiration for lifts and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm able to do this stuff and I'm having fun doing it. Maybe when I post something, somebody else out there may see this and like, oh man, hey, I'm going to try that. Or, hey, this is exciting. Let's go to the gym. Let's just, I don't know, get back in or get into it. And because it's a very intimidating place, luckily I had my background in varsity athletics. I mean, I was in a locker room with Terrell Pryor when he played for Ohio State.
Wow.
Less than exciting interaction, but it was still like in that environment where it's intimidating, where you have Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. It's just like, if I can handle that, I can handle, our local YMCA, no big deal. But right. I know for a lot of people, they don't have that experience to pull from, and they need kind of a kinder face and I don't know, kinder personality to kind of see, like, not everybody is, videoing people and making fun of them. Like, I'm all for showing my bloopers. I'm all for showing people that, I'm not perfect. And I think that just kind of, I want to help, encourage people to just go for it. Failure is part of the journey. And if I can do that and help one person, then my job is complete. So it kind of started out that way. And then I was starting to do these cool things. I was learning how to really lift heavy weights. I started doing really crazy lifts, like super heavy deficit deadlifts, to where the bar is technically positioned below my feet and I'm lifting up 600 pounds. Or I'm doing single arm snatch, Turkish get-ups with 155 pounds. Like, how many dentists out there are doing this kind of stuff? Like, none.
Not many.
None.
I can tell
so
you that.
Like, I utilize I'm a dentist, but like, I'm not just a dentist. Like, not all dentists. And that's the cool thing is Swole DDS has met all these other dentists that are doing all these other incredible things, and healthcare providers that are doing these other extracurricular things outside of medicine, outside of dentistry. And it just shows how much deeper a person can be, and they're not just their job. Because as dentists, especially in the civilian world, you have to connect with your patients, even if it's in that short 5-minute interaction that you get with them during a prophy exam or an initial or a limited exam. You really don't get a whole lot of time, especially in private practice, because it's production. So when you can be on social media, provide kind of this, hey, I'm a dentist, I have this, education, I can provide some oral health, tricks and tips and education, but I also do this fun, goofy stuff. And also, hey, it's just a vibe here because it's not that serious. It's social media. Let's just have some fun. Right. And it just kind of provides kind of a nice space to, I don't know, just to land on. I know there's a couple people I follow where as soon as I land on their video, I just set it down and I let it roll. Even if they got good taste in music and the song plays over and over again, or they have a really good, like, I don't know, thoughts, like they're talking through, different scenarios, or they're just funny. Like, I just land on it and I let it sit and I let it play, just because, like, I like this person or I like this creator. Right. And in today's society, well, I would say a couple years prior to TikTok, it was all like manufactured, content that the big mainstream media like thought that you wanted to to see and enjoy. But now we can take a peek into some of these other little people that are actual people that have like, I don't know, a dark sense of humor or a quirky sense of humor. Like, oh, I really like that. Or like, oh my God, I just love how this person, tells the story. It's the most, boring story by anybody else, but this person just tells it in such a way that it engages me and I smile because of it. So, I just kind of developed it to just kind of have fun and put smiles on faces because why not?
Why not? And the best thing is you love doing it. I can see that on your face.
Is it that obvious?
I don't know what you like better, the army or dancing on TikTok or Instagram.
I don't know. I if there's any kind of way that I can take something and flip it put it into perspective that I'm helping someone where 5 years, 10 years ago, I wasn't in this position. Mm-hmm. It just kind of gives me a little bit more, I don't know, perspective. Because, yeah, not every day is, butterflies and rainbows. Like, yeah, some of it absolutely sucks. And that's just life. But I don't know. It's easier to embrace the suck when you're humming, I don't know, a song from Nigeria that I tend to play because I love songs from all over the world. So, and then TikTok opens you up to the world because it's a global audience. I think right now, 32% of my following is from Latin countries. So, all over the world.
Is it the Latin dance moves?
I don't know. It might be the hips. It might be the Brazilian hips I got.
So where do you find the time? Obviously, you're busy in your day-to-day. I feel like I'm always busy in my day-to-day. We're on this podcast, so we're always doing something. Where do you find the time to edit, post, come up with the content that you're going to display?
Well, I don't. To be honest,
you're like I don't sleep at all.
Well, I probably spend too much of my free time I spend on social media, if I'm being completely honest. But when I've been super freaking lucky. I don't know how much luckier I could get. But my wife is super supportive in all regards, super supportive of the Army, super supportive of dentistry, super supportive of social media. So like, just when I get home, and it's a priority for us to lift. So we lift, and then I'll either film while I'm lifting, so that's kind of killing two birds with one stone there. And then when I'm at lunch at work and I happen to have my scrubs on, I have a tripod there that I just quickly take 5-6 minutes to shoot, and then edit it over lunch and then post it. Like we get an hour lunch, and I eat really fast. So, or at the end of the day when I'm staying late doing charts, before I leave, I'll just do a quick video. I think there was a couple videos where I was prancing around the clinic with my 360 camera, where I was just kind of looking like, what do you call it? Jack Sparrow. I got a couple requests for that.
Was that the one where you were wearing the cap?
Where I was wearing the what?
The cap.
I wear the cap in like 90% of my.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always time to shoot. Editing. Luckily, I don't make really complicated content like some creators with the green screen and the script and all that stuff. Like, I don't really do a whole lot of really complicated stuff, so that helps. But if it's like off the cuff, like educational stuff, that's usually pretty quick. So it really doesn't take too much time to edit, and then just throw a video up. One video a day, sometimes one every 2 days. You can squeeze it in there. So I don't know. Sometimes while I'm eating at dinner, I'll post a video or edit one. I have dozens and dozens of drafts that I just haven't edited, and so sometimes I'll throw up old ones or repurpose old ones to do something a little bit different. Maybe I'll take an old vibey one and turn it into an educational piece. So
Right.
it really just depends. I don't know. It's fun, so it's not really work
Yeah, if
to
you
me.
like doing it, it's not really a
Yeah.
job, right?
Yeah.
Have you? I kind of saw that you were on BuzzFeed and some of these like websites and featured on it.
Mhm.
How did you gain that traction and mainstream media? Like, was it something that you reached out to? Was it just, after a certain point, you feel like you had that following where people started posting about you?
So I think it kind of goes back to kind of creating that community. So part of like posting and creating that space for people to just land on your page and stay a while, they kind of get involved and they get kind of they grow to like you, and I've grown to like my audience. I've grown to like
Hmm.
my followers and interact with them regularly. I tried as soon as I hit 1 million. It was almost impossible. But tried to respond every comment, which was a lot of work. Prior to residency, it wasn't that bad because there was a decent amount of downtime between patients and writing notes.
Hmm.
But it's been impossible now. So I try to make an attempt to get to most of them. But you kind of, when you create that environment and you create that community, people that are part of the media or people that write articles or journalists, they reach out and of course, like I mean, call me narcissistic or conceited, but I enjoy telling my story because
Hmm.
if it helps somebody kind of either one put into perspective what they're going through, or two provide a different perspective of what could be happening or what is possible, then and it applies to them and they can run with it and it makes their life better. Like I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to kind of get that out there because it's again, why not, right? So
Hmm.
if anything I say or do can help somebody, I'm gonna do it. So when these people reach out, 9 times out of 10 I will say yes, and the 10th time that I say no, it's often because there's no schedule that I can fit it in that works with both mine and theirs. So that's usually the only reason why it doesn't work out. But if I get a request, I'm gonna do it most of the time. So taking the time, even though I'm pretty much a nobody. Think about it. Without social media, I'm really just an army dentist. I'm literally nobody. So when people ask me to be on, it's always an honor because I'm really just a nobody that happens to be kind of goofy online that a few people tend to think can like. So I always kind of have that in the back of my head. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. Followers do not determine your value or your worth. So to me, following is not everything. Following is nice and it's great for networking and reaching out and especially as a side hustle. But really, following doesn't mean that you have any more value than somebody that doesn't have anybody or doesn't even have a social media. So I don't know. I've created that community and created that environment that people don't mind writing about
You
me.
you brought up engaging with your audience and like how in the past you had a lot more time to do so. You answered comments, probably DMs a lot more. How do you find that you engage with your audience now? Is it mostly because you were mentioning it's mostly through like just putting out content and kind of like if you like it and it can help you, like that's who you're attracting, and the people who aren't seeing the value in what you're providing, you're not going to get offended by it. They're kind of just going to, look and pass. So how do you find that you engage with your audience now? Maybe it's something that is intangible.
So I try to make my interactions more meaningful, I guess.
Hmm.
For instance, especially on TikTok, I'm really good with this taking common questions or common comments and taking one comment that's similar to all of the common comments and making a video with that caption or that comment up above, either explaining something or doing a request. So it keeps them engaging. They're asking questions because, oh, I might use their comment because a lot
Right.
of people want to be seen. It's really a lot of it's just about being seen, and if they happen to word a question perfectly, I'm like, I like how that question's worded. I'll put it up and then I'll make a video. Or believe it or not, even though I don't have a whole lot of time, I scroll through and I read like 99% of all of those comments. So it's kind of like, I don't read books. I just read comments, which is probably not very good for mental health.
Probably learn a lot more from those anyway.
Well, you definitely learn a lot more about people's opinions than anything else. But, with that, you kind of have to separate what is a person and what's an online person, because somebody that is a person probably wouldn't say some of the stuff that online people will say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
it's harder to say something in person than it is to like write something online and post it.
Yeah,
especially if it's not your name on your username,
Yeah, so people tend to err on the side of more like knee-jerk comments or something like that, and I think that's part of building the community is just not engaging. Yeah, I read it; it's in my mental space, but there's no need for me to engage further on less than desirable comments. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's just like even though I don't have a whole lot of time, I still scroll and I read, and I've gotten really good at speed reading because of that. So that's really helped with the scientific articles that I have to read.
Right?
Every night.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's I don't know. It's just it's just evolved so much. If you asked me this 3 years ago, where I'd be with the social media presence that I have, I'd think you were joking. There's like no way.
You never think you're gonna do it until you do it, and you're like, wow, I kind of like this.
Yeah, it was embarrassing for the first year and a half, 2 years of posting on TikTok. Like everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's a kids app, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, it's fun. It passes the time. Like my For You page is chill. It's fun. Like it's mostly just people with comedy skits or those old Vines that were just like too short to make sense, but they were still hilarious for some reason.
Yeah, they're still around. They're like fuzzy.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just like, you know what? You might as well just make the most of it and have fun with it. And I think that's what I like the most of it, because it kind of gives you that freedom. Social media gives you a lot of latitude. Because you can't really do that stuff like in the middle of a work meeting because it's not the time or place. But when you get that,
it also gives you a lot of reach, like people that you would probably have never interacted with ever before, and now you have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, have you ever met or do you know who the rapper Chingy is? Chingy, like right there.
Yes.
We follow each other on TikTok. Like I've met some like people that I grew up like listening to and watching that are now following me on social media, and it's so cool because that's like I don't.
You're like, I got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, I don't fangirl or fanboy, but like when I see like somebody that I've like enjoyed watching or listening to, and I see that pop, I'm like, no way, they like my stuff. Like, could you imagine that reach again? Like you're saying, with like that one of the reels that or TikToks or Instagrams that you posted shows up on Jason Derulo's For You page. That
he's
you
like
got
scrolling.
Steven Spielberg has seen your face at one point in time. So like it's also opened up a lot of doors for opportunities for me. As far as I don't know if you know what Incisal Edge magazine is.
No.
But I was featured in that this past year, top 40 under 40. I was nominated for that through social media. I got to do a Janu Scrubs campaign. I'm working with Oral-B currently on a couple campaigns. So like, had I not had social media, I wouldn't be experiencing all of these opportunities.
That's awesome. I'm gonna end off with this question. It's a pretty loaded question, so take that as you will. But
sorry, you cut out a second. What was that?
So I'm gonna end off with this final question. It's loaded, so take that as you will. So, how do you see your future in the profession? And how does social media align with that as you look towards the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Oh, man. Wow.
I told you it was loaded.
That's a good question. I mean, to be honest with you, if your listeners made it this far in the podcast, I will be super, super excited and shocked because I babble way too much. So where do I see myself in the profession of dentistry in how many years did you say?
In the next 5 to 10 to 15 years, and how does social media play a role in that?
How does social media play a role in that? So I'll kind of preface this with kind of a story about learning about social media in the military. Because it's a little different in the military because you're technically a soldier 24/7, so you're bound by the Army regulations 24/7. So there's a regulation on social media usage. So the first thing I do, when I get to my post, and I basically just posting like it's normal. And then I make this one post, and it was funny. It was I'll give you the preface because I had to take it down. It was me in my full Army outfit, walked up to the gym. I was telling a story basically saying that I was looking for a gym on post, and I wasn't having any luck, and the gym I was waiting outside wasn't open until like 6:30 p.m. And I was really bummed out, and the guys that I was kind of talking to up there were like, yeah, this is normal. And then I was saying, as I was walking away, I heard them whisper like, man, that dude's wide, like, like jacked, like wide. That's how I took it. And I'm like, aw, like I've been trying. So I turned to the side and I flexed. But what I didn't realize is that I wasn't supposed to have my hospital badge on outside of the hospital. So that was a very quick lesson learned. But the general of the whole dental corps saw my TikTok, and he texted my commander, who then texted me, and it wasn't as bad as you're thinking right now. Like, oh no, a general is texting my commander about this. The text quote, it said, quote, "I really like his energy, but make sure he's aware of OPSEC," which is operational security, which means that I needed to have my badge not be displayed, even though it was illegible. It was still on my person, and that is a no-go. So he texted me, and I'm like, oh no. So let me just go through and audit all of my posts, and luckily it was just that one that I had the badge on. And I was just like, he's just like, he likes your enthusiasm, but be mindful of OPSEC. And I'm like, yes, sir. So that story kind of tells me that the Army is changing in a good way when it comes to this stuff, because they have MOSs or jobs that are dedicated to just social media. And I've worked with the Go Army main social media page a couple times in the past. So if I continue, being basically a beacon for Army dentistry on social media, I can see them kind of wanting me to be more present on the Army side of things for Dentac or social media, or for the dental corps, which would be really cool. But I would really want to make sure that I stay chairside quite a bit, because I don't want to turn into an admin, recruiting guy. I fell in love with being able to change people's smiles and give people their confidence back. And I don't want to be relegated to a desk and a computer. Mm-hmm. So I can see myself, if they make it for me, a social media outreach type person for the dental corps, yet I still have chair time. Is that it's?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that would be cool.
I think
but
that's a cool kind of avenue to go down, because oddly enough, I was watching this TikTok about this guy who started taking photos of NFL players. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't catch that. Something about NFL players?
Yeah, so I watched this TikTok about this guy who started taking photos of NFL players.
Yes,
and he was kind of doing,
I saw that.
It kind of reminds me of what you're saying, because he ended up getting reached out by the NFL, or he had an internship or something, and now he's like a social media content producer for the NFL. And like, he goes to all the games, he flies around, and what you're telling me is kind of reminding me of what he did, because the NFL never had someone who's this guy off the street for TikTok running videos, like these high quality HD videos of like Tyreek Hill up close, and now they have this niche that of people who want to watch content like that. They don't want to watch old like NFL on TV, like they want like the up close, like, oh, I'm watching TikTok on my phone, like I want to see Tyreek Hill up front, I want to see him make this like cool catch. And Americans in general, and maybe we're rubbing off on the entire world, but we have a short attention span. We want to see like quick things. That's why all Americans hate soccer, because it takes like 90 minutes for something to happen and for like
until
a deciding
the World
factor.
Cup.
Exactly, until the final game of the World Cup. But yeah, so I mean, there's always going to be a niche for everyone, and I think like especially in terms of like recruiting, I think for the program that you did, because I think there are people who are interested in it, but not enough people know enough about it, and only what the guy at the local like career fair is telling you. And like you don't know like of someone who recently went through it, who's telling you like the good and the bad, the ugly, the mentorship they can get out of it, and like for that to be something that you could provide to people, it's almost like a marketing for the Army. It could be create some nationalism, things like that, which we could all use, but that's a great thing that you do. And that you could potentially do.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm really open for anything. I had somebody actually, because of social media, offer to buy my contract out for the Army to come work for them.
Wow!
Until they found out exactly how much that would cost. It's
right.
close to $500,000, but still to have that offer is pretty incredible. So I'm really open for anything, but so long as they let me continue doing what I love doing, I don't see really much need to leave, and unless that money gap is really that big.
Right.
But no, I'm really enjoying my time, and I do enjoy the mentorship, and I wouldn't mind staying in education too either. So once I get out of here, if I end up doing maybe a Bravo assistant director for an AEGD 1 year, I'd be cool with that. I'm really down for anything, to be honest.
I like your mentality. It's kind of like roll with the punches, take opportunities, whatever you're given, figure out if that works with you at that moment, and then move forward from there, because you never know, right?
Absolutely. The one thing that I always, it kind of puts into perspective is, one day your life is going to flash before your eyes. You might as well make it something worth watching.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. I'm gonna, when I post this on social media, on YouTube, etc., Swole DDS, I'll tag you. You'll repost it, and I hopefully more people hear this story about you, because I'm not sure how vocal you are about it on social media. You might be, but you post a lot. So
yeah, it gets buried, I'm sure. Yeah, when I was the semi-finalist for the Titan games, it was out there, and then it got buried.
Yeah, that's what happens. So. It's like the good post ride, bad post, never hear about it. But exactly. But I appreciate you coming on, for real. I had a great conversation. This did not take, like, I came in here with a bunch of questions. I think I asked 2 of them because of how interesting you are, and I kind of just wanted to see. Yeah, no, it's good, because half the things that you brought up, I was like, I wasn't even expecting that. So you have a lot of no, that's good. Talking's good. That's why we're dentists. But you have a lot of unique qualities about you, so you should be proud. And good luck with residency. Learn a lot. I'm learning also, so it's a good time.
It's when you stop learning, you're dead, right?
Exactly. All right. Thank you again.
Hey, thanks for having me.